once again, we gather in search of the truth, dark, and mystery. It's the Drunk Turkey Show.
Big development today in the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. According to state and local officials and court documents, 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger has been arrested. He was arrested and arraigned this morning in Pennsylvania.
We have new details on what Bryan Kohberger was doing right before his arrest. Police says a tactical team burst in to arrest the Idaho murder suspect. He was in pajamas and latest gloves, stuffing trash into Ziploc bags.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Phil J. Pride, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one-stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
Just like every other podcast, everybody, what is up? Welcome back to the show. It's been a couple days since I've seen you guys. I hope you guys are doing all right, and I hope your weekend as well. Before we get out and start, I want to just say my thoughts and prayers go out to Mountain Mama, one of our mods. I hope you're doing and feeling better. Get strong, and you're in our prayers. Everybody else, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Ring that notification button. You guys know what to do. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of different things. We're going to get back into the Bryan Kohberger case and talk about these new witnesses that are being summoned to go and testify in the Bryan Kohberger case. We're going to talk about what they could mean if they're testifying for the prosecution, if they're testifying for the defense, both in between. I mean, at the end of the day, if they do get called up to testify in court, both the prosecution and the defense are going to have an opportunity to question all of these individuals. And so maybe we'll look at it from that point of view of what it is that they bring to the table that could be beneficial both for Bryan Kohberger and for the state once we do see them on the stand, if we see them on the stand. But first and foremost, I want to talk to you guys about a pretty disturbing case that is happening or that happened over the across the pond there. And it's relative to or referencing a British guy trying to marry a 9-year-old at a Disneyland. It's an insane case, and there's two different stories, or not too much stories, but like there's two different angles out here. You have, the U.S. Sun reporting one thing, and we'll also talk about what the Britain Times are reporting. And so this one says Britain arrested after Disneyland Paris mock wedding with girl 9 years old. So the man was 22 years old, and he was among 4 questioned after renting the theme park for a dawn ceremony with a Ukrainian child for a social media video. So I'm gonna start reading this off first and foremost, but I find this article to be kind of weird, kind of sus too. The British man was arrested on Sunday after allegedly attempting to stage a mock wedding with a 9-year-old girl before a crowd of 100 guests at Disneyland Paris. Now, obviously, I don't know the rules or the laws in Paris, but I'm fairly positive you can't marry a 9-year-old. So if you were going to go through this ceremony, and allegedly they paid almost $130,000 or over $130,000 for this ceremony, you can't call it a real ceremony if the bride is 9. You know what I'm saying? But it gets worse. So this goes on to say the man 22, allegedly the groom, at a bizarre stage ceremony at dawn on Saturday in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle in the theme park 20 miles east of Paris. The aim was to make a video for social media, he told police. So they're going based on what he told police. Obviously, he's not going to tell the police that he's a pedophile and that he's on the run and trying to do something pretty crazy. The organizers had booked the park, which was available to rent outside public visiting hours, for a function they said would be a genuine wedding ceremony. So they told everybody beforehand that this was going to be a genuine wedding ceremony. Now that he's gotten caught, now that authorities have gotten involved, now he's changing the story. It was a fake wedding. It was just for social media, blah, blah, blah. The guests were recruited online through adverts seeking 200 adults, 100 children, ages between 5 and 15 to play guests at the rehearsal for a wedding at Disneyland. Video obtained by TV showed about 100 seated guests awaiting a ceremony as a female violin trio played down at dawn before stage strewn with flowers. The event had the cost organizer 130, I think that's pounds or euros. Yeah, I think it's euros. BMF said. Alexandre Verney, assistant prosecutor for the Saint Et Marne department, said 4 people were arrested and questioned in the groom, who is believed to be the organizer of the event, and the presumed hold on a second, and presumed to be British at age 22, the mother of the child, a 41-year-old Ukrainian woman, and 2 Latvian nationals, age 55 and 24. It wasn't a wedding, but a stage wedding that was to be filmed with hundreds of extras. They privatized Disneyland, claiming it was a real marriage. The mother and the other Latvian were released after medical examination of the girl showed no mistreatment or constraint. The Briton and the other Latvian or I've never seen that word before, guys, so I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Were held for questioning over possible money laundering, fraud offenses, and prosecution said. So let's go to what the Sun says here. And they actually have, I guess, a clip of this video here. I don't hear any sound. So this is a violin player. This is the mock or the wedding that they were going to have. I'm assuming that's the groom. Pretty disgusting stuff, guys. But this says here, the 39-year-old was charged. All right, hold on. The Brit Disneyland groom, who was arrested for allegedly trying to marry a 9-year-old girl, is a known pedophile who is on the run from the UK justice, according to French prosecutors. So now the story deepens, right? Now it's not just some guy on YouTube, just some kind of content creator. This is actually a pedo, and he's running from UK authorities and somehow has garnished $130,000 or whatever you want to call them to get this ceremony on the ground. And disgusting and disturbing, guys. Yes, this is the I think that's the groom. Disney staff were immediately called the police after spotting the Brit with the young girl, a Ukrainian nationality, in a bridal dress with 4-inch heels taped to her feet. There were also 100 guests present as they turned up for the pretend wedding ceremony. Now, prosecutors in Meaux, east of Paris, have confirmed that the man known in the UK for sexual offenses against minors. A statement reads, he registered on the British Sex Offenders Registry and is currently wanted at the national level by judicial authorities of his country of origin for failing to comply with the obligations arising from said registration. The man is described as a mastermind of sick wedding stunt and has reportedly been charged with fraud, breach of trust, money laundering, and identity theft. Despite his background, Disneyland management allowed him to the private part of the Disneyland site at Marne-la-Vallée at the cost of around 1,000 euros. It then emerged that the bride was a 9-year-old girl, something that Disneyland employees only realized on the day, according to prosecutors. In addition, the 39-year-old, 3 other people were arrested. The child's mom, 41. So this says 39-year-old. The other said 22. I mean, either way, it's still pretty disgusting and disturbing. The 41-year-old Ukrainian woman, a 24-year-old Latvian woman who played the role of the bride's sister, and a 55-year-old Latvian man who also took part in the sick ceremony. The entire event was due to broadcast live on social media, according to the prosecutors, with extras said to have been recruited online to play family members. Despite this, organizers asked Disneyland to keep the whole event confidential. Wonder why. I wonder who they were going to be broadcasting this to, right? I bet you there's a bunch of sick people watching that. You know, one of those sick rings. You know what I'm talking about. That's what it sounds like here. Senior management now claims that have been deceived, with a Meaux prosecuting spokesman saying the organizer assumed the identity of the Latvian national and used false documents to secure the conclusion of the contract for privatization of the park. The lifelike ceremony, complete with white chairs and a giant cake, musicians in the castle, was reportedly attended by the girl's family and large crowd at dawn on Sunday. A Disney Paris source said that the event was soon shut down and that the guests were stopped from entering the premises. A medical examination of the young girl bride found that she had not been or suffered any violence. A source who was recruited to act as a wedding guest said, "All thought we were going to attend a wedding." They didn't know it was a fake wedding. It wasn't broadcast as a fake wedding. It's now only being said it's a fake wedding because law enforcement are involved. See how that works? Everyone was stunned when we realized what was really going on. Disneyland acted extremely professionally. They canceled everything as soon as they realized the bride was a child. It was all very shocking. Who we guess witnessed next would leave them horrified. Appearing on stage, the bride, 9-year-old girl. Keep an eye on your kids, guys. Keep your eye on your kids. There's some sick people out there that are going to do anything. It seems like this young lady's mom was involved in this as well. I don't understand why they released her. If there was, I mean, she's, even if they claim this is some sort of fake wedding, who is this person that is being married to? It's a guy who's running from the law for sex-related crimes against minors. Yeah, that's not making a lot of sense. A lot of money was used for the ceremony. You know, I would look into their bank accounts to see if any other money was moved. You know, did this guy pay the mom X amount of money so that way that he could marry their daughter? Something to that effect. It is a very sick thing, and you know, I think I don't know who this guy is that was arrested. I don't know if laws are different out there, but they didn't identify him. They just said he's a British man. I know out here in good old USA, you do something like this, you're on the front page. All your information is there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different country, so it could be a little bit different, but I'd be interested to see who this person is, you know, and what their background is. It's a lot of money for a fake ceremony or whatever you want to call it. Now it says that he's being charged with money laundering and things of that nature. Maybe that's part of the reason or the reason or why they ended up getting so much money to get the park. But there could also be some other nefarious means behind how they got that money. You know, who are they going to live stream it to? Who are following those channels? I mean, there's probably way more into this than most people think. And, you know, for somebody to rent out Disneyland, you know, to me, that they must feel pretty untouchable. You know what I'm saying? Fortunately, that wasn't the case. And I'm glad that, yeah, those type of rings, you're absolutely right. I'm just saying, I don't know. It's disgusting. It's gross. And I'm just glad that this guy got arrested and he's running from some other charges. Hopefully he'll be able to pay for full justice for all those charges. All righty. So the next thing I want to talk about, guys, is the Bryan Kohberger case. Let's go back into the case. I want to talk about some of these witnesses. This is an article that just dropped. I'm not going to break down who these people are. I know a lot of folks are eager to find out what they look like, where they work, what their background is, what their Facebook looks like. They're all private people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's right to spread information about people's background that way. So I'm just going to read what it is that we see here. We don't need to see their pictures or anything like that. And what's most important is, what is it they're going to testify to? And who is it they're going to testify for? Are they testifying for the state and against Bryan Kohberger, or are they testifying for the defense? So let's break it down. Let's look at it. The first one is, we're going to look at a Fox News article that says Kohberger's former jail guard called to testify in a quadruple murder case as witness list grows. All right, 2 more Pennsylvania men have been called to witness for Bryan Kohberger's upcoming trial in the University of Idaho student murder case, including a jail guard at the facility where the suspected killer was held before his extradition. William Searfoss and Anthony Soma, a joining group of 5 other Pennsylvanians who are due in court next week for a hearing on whether they should be compelled to travel cross-country and testify in connection to Kohberger's quadruple murder trial. which is slated to begin in August, according to the newly released documents. Seafrost's wife told Fox News Digital that she did not know why he would be asked to testify, but she said he's a corrections officer at the jail that Kohberger was taken after his arrest at his parents' house in Albertsville on December 30th, 2022. Shortly after his arrest, reports emerged that Kohberger had shouted out and threatened guards at the Monroe County Corrections Facility. Claims Warden Gail Hadel said were not true. According to a report in the Idaho Statesman, Kohberger was held in isolation and his stay was uneventful, he told the newspaper. So there was this one lady. So what can they bring him into? And this talks about it a little bit, right? That there was this report of this one lady who was saying some stuff. Let me see if I have it over here real quick. Of who it was, because I have it somewhere. If I can't find it, it's not a big deal. Yeah. All righty. So there was this lady who was arrested around the same time that Bryan Kohberger was arrested. When she got released from jail, she says she heard Bryan Kohberger say some pretty crazy things like, "I'm going to stick you," and a bunch of other things to the guards. So some people are wondering, could this be a defense witness to rebut whatever that witness may say? I'll say this. I highly doubt. And when I say I highly doubt, I'm talking about, highly, like 420 on April 20th, and I'm hanging out with Snoop Dogg and Willie Nelson. Highly doubt that the prosecution is going to use that lady as a witness. There is no way it's going to happen. Obviously, most times I'm not familiar with Albertsville, Pennsylvania's, holding cells and stuff like that. They're jail cell, but most of the time, women and men are not anywhere near each other. And so I doubt it wouldn't, when she came out and that report came out of what she said, I highly found it super suspicious. I didn't believe it, and ended up being not true. So I don't think that's what it is. Now, when I saw this, because we talk about this in the Discord, guys. When I saw this in the Discord earlier, I was like, what could they want? Why would they want this guy, a corrections officer? So the first thing that I thought was, well, maybe Bryan Kohberger was on a suicide watch. And that's what I said. I was like, was he on that? I didn't know. I found out later that he was in another document. And so now it starts to make a little bit more sense, because when somebody is on that type of watch, a corrections officer is going to be there with that person a lot more than any other inmate and those type of things. And so maybe perhaps they did strike the conversation. It seemed like, Kohberger was the type of person who wanted to supposedly get coffee with some of the officers. Remember when he said something of that nature? There was a report that he had said he wanted to get coffee and things like that, while they were interrogating him once it was all over. And I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to talk to some of these corrections officers. Maybe he did become a friend of one of them, but what is it that he could testify at court? So if this guy's what was his name again? Let me pull it up real quick. Searfoss. If, let's just say, he's being pulled in by the defense, what could he say? He acted normal. How does his behavior while in jail on those type of watches have any indication on his behavior or what he did on the night of November 13, 2022? So I don't know about that. I have a strong suspicion that's not the case, because I think that if you have a corrections officer there, and let's just say there was some statements made by Bryan Kohberger, like, did anybody else get arrested? Or, anything that he may have blurted out, that's not necessarily going to be very beneficial to Bryan Kohberger. Now, if they brought in this guy, right, as a witness for the defense, well, the state's going to have an opportunity to talk to him too. And so at what point does whatever he says outweighs whatever bad could be if you're on the defense team? So for instance, if all he can say is he acted normal, and he denied ever doing anything, and that's all he could say there, but then this officer also overheard him say things like, did anybody else get arrested? Maybe anything that was blurted out, those things I think would be more damaging than anything that he could say in favor of Bryan Kohberger. So I don't know which side is asking him to testify. I would be kind of skeptical that it's the defense's side, but that's just me. All right. And as far as Simona, they attempted to reach Simona, were unsuccessful. It states here that a Facebook profile under the same name belongs to a graduate of Monroe Career and Technical Institute. Kohberger attended that school for a youth employment enforcement program. Administrators reportedly kicked him out after complaints from female classmates. Ultimately, what had him removed from the program, when I look back now, makes sense. The fact that he wanted law enforcement more than anything else in the world. You look at it from just that perspective alone, knowing what I know, you'd be like, I'm so shocked. This is from Tanya Carmela Beers, a former school official who told the Idaho Massacre podcast in 2023. In that respect, I am, but I know another little piece, which is a piece that occurred in school, so that makes sense. Kohberger transferred to an HVAC program the industry his father worked in and left a year later. Well, that's not entirely true. He didn't finish his junior year of school. So this happened his junior year of school, from what I remember. And he was in the law enforcement program, got kicked out because a couple of females were a little bit concerned about his behavior and some of the things he was doing. He was kind of, from what I understand, this is my speculation. Let's call it my prediction. I think we might hear this. I don't know. I don't know if we will. This might be something that's too old, right? But my thing is, I heard that he let me put it this way. I looked in my crystal ball and I saw that he had downloaded a couple of apps or something of that nature on some people's phones and was able to follow them and see where they were. I believe that was what the problem was in high school. Maybe that was the problem in Northampton. But, you know, some of these visions, sometimes they blend in. Well, anyways, despite his removal from the program, he would later list his time there on a job application, seeking employment at the nearby Mount Pleasant High School as a part-time security guard. District officials eventually forced him to resign from the security job for reasons that have not been made public, according to records obtained by Fox News Digital. I apologize. So again, we looked this up. We saw his resignation letter where it says that he understood that if he was to not resign, that he could just be facing a termination board. And there was another thing that we did. I'd have to go back and find it. If anybody does, and you guys do it for me, that'd be great. Let me know in the comment section or send me a message. But we actually pulled up the transcript for one of the town hall meetings where they discussed some of the persons who were leaving the school district. So it was a part downsizing, and in part there was some people that were just transferring to other places and leaving the school for that reason. But when it came to Bryan Kohberger, when it came down to, when you broke down the events of the way things went down, he wasn't listed with those that were leaving on good terms. And his position, although there was some that were leaving and their position wasn't going to be filled, that wasn't the case with Bryan Kohberger. They ended up filling his position. So it's not like they let him go to bring in somebody cheaper. He was already the lowest paid there was. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they let him go to get rid of the position. They replaced him with somebody else. So he obviously, in my opinion, was definitely forced to resign. It was not immediately clear whether it was the prosecution or the defense that is seeking to compel either man's testimony. Earlier this month, 5 individuals from Kohberger's Pennsylvania past were identified as potential witnesses for his defense. So this is saying that the other 5 are for his defense, including his former boxing coach, a school advisor, and a professor who recommended him for the PhD program he was attending at the time of the murders. Kohberger wrote that he boxed daily at Jesse Harris's gym on 2015 job application. So let's break these down as they're talking about him. So this is supposedly a defense's witness. So they're going to go up there and he's going to say what? That he worked with him, he was dedicated, seemed like a normal guy. But then the state's going to get to talk to him and say, hey, was he able to, how was his stamina when he was there? How much weight did he lose? How many rounds of boxing could he go? You know what I'm saying? You know, how was his dexterity? Did you feel that he was hindered by any movements? Do you feel that he could not protect himself? Do you feel that he could not attack somebody else while boxing? There's so many questions that you can ask this boxing guy that I think that it would be foolish for the defense to bring him on. But hey, when all you have is this, and these are the only people that can say anything nice about you, well, and that's all you got. You know what I'm saying? All right, the next one. It says here initially, Marie Bolger had been summoned to court, but her name was removed in a later filing. In 2023 interview with Daily Mail, Bolger said that Kohberger was one of her brightest students and one of only two that she had recommended for the PhD program in a decade at the criminology professor at DeSales University. So what can she say? That he was bright, that he was smart. On cross, did you ever meet him in person? No. You say that his thesis was on, the minds of a killer. Don't you find it odd that he did not start his Reddit post for said thesis until about a month and a half before graduation? Didn't you say in an interview that he ran out of time? Don't you find it odd that he started that and maintained that thread after he graduated? So, see, I think there's going to be a lot of things that can be asked during cross that, I find it odd that the defense would be willing to make that move to bring these folks in. All right, so let's see what else this says. Kohberger obtained his master's degree from DeSales before moving onto Washington State, about 10 miles from his off-campus home, where he was accused of killing Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Bolger told the outlet she had never met Kohberger in person and only taught him over email and Zoom during the height of the coronavirus pandemic. She helped him on his graduate thesis, which centered on how and why criminals commit their crimes. The other witnesses include Ann Farham, an advisor at the high school Kohberger attended. See, this is another one. Like, what is she going to say? Is she going to say why he got kicked out as a junior? Is she going to say why he was forcibly removed out of the law enforcement program and put into an HVAC program? Are they going to tell us why Bryan Kohberger did not attend high school his senior year and why his high school senior year was online? Maybe it's normal stuff. I don't know. Maybe I do know. Let's see. The next one is Ralph Vicino. I think he was the mechanic. Maggie Sanders, and Brandon Andriola. I'm not familiar with what they're going to testify to. I haven't looked deeply into their backgrounds to say one way or the other. Court announced Tuesday afternoon that Sanders' appearance has been postponed by a week. The others are due in court June 30th. Prosecutors alleged DNA left on a knife sheath. Detectives found next to Maddie's body. They plan to introduce some of the DeSales homework as evidence that he was well-versed in concepts related to crime scene handling and transfer of evidence. Kohberger faced death by firing squad if convicted on any 4 charges of first-degree murder he faces. He also is charged with felony burglary in connection to the 4 a.m. home invasion attack. Now here, I think this one kind of goes into a little bit more detail of who these people might be. Let me go through it a little bit. So this is Bryan Kohberger's trial sees 7 Pennsylvanians called to testify. All right, let's see. I want to see what they say. So, here's the one that I was talking about. An inmate in the same prison allegedly threatened Kohberger. This was a source that told News Nation. This is a different one. This source said that Kohberger was housed in a cell with a glass door that offered little privacy beyond a blurred strip running along the middle of it. F you, I'm going to kill you, an inmate said with his middle finger raised to Kohberger as he sat in the cell. So remember when Ann Taylor was kind of talking about how Bryan Kohberger's in solitary confinement. He's by himself. Solitary confinement. There we go. And that he doesn't get to go to rec and play basketball and stuff. Well, these are the friends he would be making. These are the people that are in there with him. These are the people they want him to hang out with. I want to say thank you to Lindsay for the newest membership. We have Sharon as well. Stephanie with a $5 super sticker. GSU, thank you. Thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Thanks for covering and never begging for support. Keep up the respectful coverage. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Midwest comes in with one gifted Drunk Turkey Show membership. Thank you guys. You guys rock. You guys rock. All right. Let's see. Kohberger looked creepy according to the source and did not appear remorseful or distressed in his 5 days at Monroe County Jail. So going back to the inmate guard, Bryan Kohberger wasn't there long either. He was only there for 5 days. It goes on to say, but did talk to people there. When he was asked why he killed the 4 students, he responded, I didn't do anything. When he asked why he even went to Moscow, Idaho, he said, the shopping is better in Idaho. Are these the things that they're calling the inmate for? They're going to say, well, he denied doing it and he likes shopping. The problem is, Moscow, Idaho is a small community. There's not very many places that are open 24/7 there. And the problem is this guy was there between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., 23 occasions, within 100 meters of the victim's house. There's not a lot of shopping within 100 meters of the victim's house. And there's not a lot of shopping that's open at those hours of night. So just food for thought. You know what I'm saying, guys? All righty. Kohberger appeared in court last week to bid his delay to trial. Judge Stephen Hippler heard arguments on whether law enforcement leaks sensitive information warrant a delay as requested by Kohberger's team. Hippler said he would take the matter under advisement, but indicated both sides should continue to prepare as if the trial would begin in August as previously scheduled. An investigation into the leaker's identity is in process, and Hippler's previously mentioned possibility of employing a special prosecutor. Prosecutors said the delay is unnecessary and unfair to the victim's family and the 4 university students who were stabbed to death on November 13, 2022 in an off-campus house, shocking small town Moscow, Idaho, and setting off a search for suspects. So I don't know. His prison guard. I'm not sure what it is that he can say. Let's see. It says here, meanwhile, based on Facebook profiles, Soma appears to have attended Monroe Career Technical Institute, the same school where Kohberger attended a youthful law enforcement program. The accused killer was kicked out of the program following complaints from a group of female students. Former high school administrator Tanya Camilla Beers has previously revealed. Beers told the Idaho Massacre podcast that Kohberger took law enforcement program extremely serious and that he wanted to be in law enforcement more than anything in the world. Knowing that, she says she was shocked to learn of his arrest, but based on the nature of the complaints against him at school, she was less surprised. I know the little piece, which is the piece that occurred out in school, so it makes sense. There was also, I think there was a female in high school, a cheerleader. And a lot of people say that she looked like Kaylee, that he used to harass. I believe that was the story that I read, that he used to harass this one girl and couldn't take a hint, would stare at her throughout class, those type of things. I could have swore I read something where somebody was saying that to be the case. Camilla Beers would not divulge the exact details, of the complaints made by the female students, saying only a complaint was made and that the teacher reported it to me and said, this is not something we can have. An investigation needed to be conducted. Other students were interviewed. Bryan was interviewed. And there comes a time when the decisions have to be made, whether it's a decision of the student wants to or not. After being removed from the program, Kohberger transferred to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning course instead. It's not clear if Soma's summons as a witness is related to the incidents in the law enforcement program. But how could they be related to the, if he's a defense witness? Because the other ones are, that's what the claim is. They're all defense witnesses. I don't know if this one's a defense witness or a state witness. Could it seems like they're separate. So maybe these are state witnesses. If this is a state witness, I think that maybe perhaps that could be an indication, especially if he was doing things that were similar. because if what I'm thinking is correct, that he was doing some weird, shady stuff on people's phones, he was doing some weird stuff on his phone starting November 10th or the 11th, where he was utilizing, I think the document said that there was some blanks in his memory and for his phone. And one of the ways you do that is a bunch of factory resets and stuff like that. You can get rid of things like that. Could there be something like that? Some sort of talk about that kind of stuff. It is also unclear from the court documents what the purpose of their testimony would be, or whether they're being sought out as witnesses from the state or the defense. However, the two witnesses will now join 5 other individuals from Kohberger's home state who have been summoned to appear at trial. The group is due in court in Pennsylvania on June 30th for a hearing to determine whether or not they should be compelled to attend and testify at the out-of-state trial. The other 5 individuals previously summoned include Ann Farham, who was an advisor at Kohberger School, Jesse Harris, who was working at a boxing gym where the suspect used to work out, Sal's University professor Michelle Bolger, who taught the accused quadruple killer during the criminal justice master's degree, was initially summoned before the name was removed, later filing and replaced by the name Brandon Andriola. Bolger previously revealed her shock and hearing the former student was accused of. In the days after his arrest, she was shocked as poop. I'm shocked as poop at what he has been accused of. I don't believe it. I don't get it, she said. He's a brilliant student, she added at the time. 2 other mystery individuals, Ralph Vicino and Maggie Saunders, have also been summoned. The summons in Pennsylvania shine some light on the witness list in the case and they indicate that the accused killer's past life will fall under the spotlight. In Idaho, both the prosecution and the defense witnesses list have been sealed by the judge Stephen Hippler, keeping the details of who will be called to testify at the high-profile crime this August shrouded in mystery. I wonder if that's going to change. I wonder if that changes, right? I mean, I know they have it now, but by the time that trial starts, is that something that is typically kept like that, right? Like what I'm trying to say is, are we going to be blinded by who the witness list throughout the entire time? Or do you think that we're going to finally eventually see that once we get a little bit closer to trial? Maybe perhaps once this continuance is decided. Thank you, Steelers fan, coming in with your 5 Drunk Turkey Show memberships. What are you doing? Just kidding. Thank you. Thank you everybody else for your support. You guys are amazing. Yeah, so I'm going to start answering some questions. So if you have any, please put a couple of stars there. It'll help me see what you guys are saying. What do you guys think? Who do you guys think, or what do you think is the reason behind some of these people that they're bringing up? Let's see. Yeah, these are things that have already been talked about. I'm actually going to move you guys to my big screen so I can see y'all better. I'm going to scroll up a little bit and come down some. So if you guys have any questions, put a couple of stars. So who do you guys think? Do you guys think these are all for the defense? Do you think any of them for the state? What do y'all think? Hope everybody's having a good night. Why didn't he say he was stargazing instead of shopping? I don't know. Probably the first thing that came out, first thing that come up to him. And go check out new members. I just did a members live yesterday. Go check it out. We were talking about who I think the target was. I go back and forth on it. I was going to edit it up and make it a video, but I went back and forth on it so much. I'm not prepared to put a video out like that. But if you're interested on where my mind is as far as who I think maybe have been the target in this case, or targets, and you remember, go check out the members only live from not yesterday, from Sunday. We are ready for this trial. No question. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate that. We don't know what we don't know. Quoting Daniel. Yep, that's what I put in my What the Freak Friday intros. Like, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah, we don't know what we don't know. There's much I don't know. Daniel, how's your little one getting big? I bet. Oh my God, yes. Thank you, Leslie. She's getting huge. She is. We just had her doctor's appointment. She's in the 94th percentile in height, and so she's pretty tall. Trying to get her interested into basketball. For her birthday, I got her me and my wife got her a little Lamborghini ride along car that has the remote control, and we were playing with that earlier today. It was a blast. But she's getting big. Thank you. If these summons were all filed by the same attorney, I would assume his defense. I don't know. I'd have to go look. I haven't seen the actual summons. Do you think Hitler's going to decide about the continuance before the Amazon documentary? Or that's a good question. I would hope so. Because I have a feeling there's going to be another one afterwards. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be watching it. I would say let's watch it on Discord, but I ain't doing that again. I'll probably watch it on Discord and I'll probably share it for the members that are there, but I'm not going to be like, hey, join us for that watch party, because that was a little bit of a nightmare. And so, no, we probably won't be doing that, but I'm going to watch it. I'm going to break it down piece by piece and everything in between. Daniel, why do you think that when him and his dad got pulled over, they say food, not penthouse? Not the Pennsylvania house. I'm a little bit, I think they were both nervous when they got pulled over, especially the second time. I think they both were nervous. I think they both were wondering why they're getting pulled over so many times. One of the things that I noticed in Howard Bloom's book, when I reread it, and one of the things I noticed was, well, you know what? I'm going to keep that to myself. I have something, guys. I do have something that I want to break, but I can't break yet. I got a few things I have that I want to break, but I can't break yet. I promised I wouldn't. And so we're going to break these things down a little bit later. So stay tuned. You guys are in for something. But I just got to wait a little bit closer to this trial date before I pull it out under my sleeve. But it's huge, guys. It is. And I think people are going to wonder a lot after that. I haven't looked at the summons for these two. Yeah. I wonder if the summons are, I didn't look at the other one. I did look at the other one. I just don't remember it. Am I wrong remembering that early on there were reports of him making statements that jailers overheard? Maybe. I mean, there was the, eager to be exonerated. There was the anybody else get arrested. I didn't do anything. Those are the ones that have gotten released. Maybe. Let's see. Stargazing on a cloudy night. Yeah. And why do you think the Secret Service is involved? Is it just for murders or not, and not money laundering? The Secret Service involved in Idaho case? I'm not familiar with the Secret Service being involved. I'm not sure. I've not heard of that. That's not fair. Please read his book. There's something that sticks out, especially if Bryan Kohberger and his family are so broke. Something sticks out. You guys will be able to follow it from there. If they're so broke, read the first few pages and something will pop. Be like, wait a minute. That don't really make sense. Why would you do that if you're broke? That's the best hint I'll do. The taunting the guards thing came from the lady. I think I just closed it. The one that I was talking about, that she had reported that he had said, "I'm going to cut you," and a bunch of other things. And I said, no, there's no, that wasn't true. And it came out to be false. She was a person that got arrested around the same time as Bryan Kohberger, and she was in the same facility, but she claimed that she was down the hall from him and or across the hall and could see him and you could hear him yelling and doing all these other things. Now, let's just say that the inmate is a defense witness, right? Let's just say that the inmate is a defense witness. How does what could they bring him in for? And now, if we're thinking that they're going to be brought in to, disprove what that lady said, I don't know. I struggle to believe that they think that that lady is going to be a witness. I highly doubt that they're going to call that lady as a witness, because I think that was just a bullcrap story, and so there's no reason to for that reason. I don't think that's the case. I think he was on suicide watch, and I think he may have talked to this inmate more because there was nothing or no one else for him to talk to, and that's the only person you can talk to. He probably talked to him quite a bit. So I'd be interested to know what he said. I have the book with chapter. Tell us and chapter. Oh gosh, just start reading it. It won't take long. It won't take long. Are they going to call her as a witness? They should go ahead and call WSC. Oh, this was the post of the day. If they're going to call her a witness, they should go ahead and call WSC. I was not expecting that. That one's funny, guys. That one, Phoenix. That was the that made me laugh. Why would you live in a gated community? No, that's not it. That's not it. I don't know how broke they are, to be honest with you, but it sounds like they are. They haven't been doing his appearances or hearings, but it sounds like it, but yeah. But I got some information, guys. I just got to hold on to it. I mean, if you guys read the book and you see it and you point it out, I'm not going to deny that that's interesting. Something that would make me go, that's weird. It's odd. But I'm waiting on some more things before I let it go. I think they filed for bankruptcy twice. I think so too. I can't quit till you find it. I'll give you a couple minutes. If you find it, I'll talk to you why I think it's weird. But I got some more about it, a lot more about it. But I'll tell you guys, stomach surgery, nah, that's not. I mean, that's still weird too. But I don't know. But I do have a lot of information on it. But yeah, no, I even asked Howard Bloom about it. I asked him. I texted him. I was like, "Hey, man, I read this in your book. Don't you think it's a little weird?" And I think his response was, let me read his response of what he told me. I think I can do that. Let me see. I'll say this. The last sentence he put on there was, clearly he was worried about his son. The suspense. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, no, I'm gonna hold on to it, guys. Stay tuned. I'll see if I can release some of this information by the end of the week. But I want to make sure that I got a little bit more information, more concrete information before I drop it. I'll say, you know what? I'll say it. In the book, in Howard Bloom's book, it states that Michael Kohberger flew from Philadelphia to Seattle, and from Seattle to Pullman, Moscow. That's an extra couple $100, if not more, to fly straight into Pullman, if you look it up, versus flying into a place like Spokane or one of these other larger airports. Clearly, and he had just flown. That's what Howard Bloom told me. He said he had just flown earlier that year too. So clearly he was concerned about his son. Now I got some more information about that. I can't break anything else other than that, but that's in the book. That is in the book. Go read Howard Bloom's book. It says he flew straight from Philadelphia to Seattle and from Seattle to Moscow, Idaho. It's in the book. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. You guys think about that, ponder about that. What would make it even more suspicious? Not just flying straight into Moscow. Would there be more? And I'll let you guys ponder that. I'll be back tomorrow night, guys. Hopefully there's something more to talk about. In this case, if not, we'll talk about something else. That being said, y'all have a great night. Peace.
But it's too late now. I remember you and me, and how careless we could be.
All day and all night, we'd stay up, it felt so right. We were so young, we were so dumb. We would get drunk and then hook up. We were okay, we were alright, staying awake till the sunrise. We were in love, couldn't stop us, like a good drug, never run off.
We hook up in my car, driving so far, play you guitar, you'd show me your art, let down our guards, think with our hearts, stare at the stars, we were never apart, drinking too young, way too much fun, out in the sun, hoping when it's gone, took you to prom, dance to our song, dance all night long till the lights come on.
Now I remember everything, and how careless we could be, and how careless we could